Good afternoon and welcome to my little slice of paradise. Right off the bat, I want to let you know there are no t-shirts for sale, no koozies, no sponsored videos, no AG1, none of that food stuff. Like, come on, man. Anyway, just want to give you a brief overview of what we got going on here. This right here is my 1988 Chevy C1500. It came with a TBI, supposedly original, 4.3 liter V6. Of course, a beautiful, supposed O'Reilly's rebuilt 700R4 transmission. Came with junkyard doors that are not original to the truck. A bed which is surprisingly straight, except for one very small little dent. And of course, fuel pump was changed on at some point. I'm not sure if you could tell, but this entire area was just peeled completely up. That's just gonna have to work till that gets rhino-lined. The cab itself is in fair to decent condition. The underside is, of course, as filthy as you would imagine a 36-year-old truck. Yeah, 36-year-old truck. To be. The frame was disgusting. It looked like this guy drove through a concrete plant. The inside of the frame was full of concrete, mortar, something or another, all inside of the spring pockets. I'll try to put a picture of that up in just a minute here. The entire frame, nothing but surface rust. A couple little spots under where the body mount goes. Not a big deal. Yeah, the frame itself was in very good shape. No twisting of it, just a lot of surface rust and dirt. So that was about a week-long project with a pressure washer, cheek poker 5300, because I can't afford the good one, and a couple of Scotch-Brite pads, heavy degreaser, you know the whole spew. Everything you don't want to see got taken care of, I believe. The front suspension is laying in a pile. Every bushing, A-arm, ball joint, everything destroyed on the truck. Drove actually really good. 4 blown out shocks, all worn out steering. Of course, to say it drove really good, I drove it for, I loaded it on the trailer, try to find that picture, offloaded it, and drove it, I believe, 250 feet to the shop, and that would be it. But in those probably 300 feet, it rode nice. The interior on this truck is something. Basic, very basic. See if I can get a good video of this. I don't know who runs these cheap ass wheels, but come on, man. Like that's just gotta go. The original seat, not terrible, a couple little holes in it here and there. Dash pad, horrible. Dash itself, really good. Headliner, terrible. Carpet smells like somebody smoked in it for its entire lifetime. A lot of butchery on this truck. 36 years old, you pretty well expect it, right? This project wasn't supposed to be this ambitious. You're gonna get the truck, change out the shocks, the bushings, ball joints, fix a couple of small leaks, until I took the bed off, realized that I needed to weld the bed floor back together. I found the rear brake line. Now I did replace it already, but that rear brake line runs all the way up to the front of the truck. It was a piece of vacuum tubing. And that was my first clue as to what I was in for. Vacuum tubing for a brake line. Let's see if I can find the ball joint here. Improperly installed ball joint. Those are supposed to go on the bottom side of the arm, guys. Not the top. See, like that one? Correct. I think. I could be totally wrong. But they're not like each other. Rag joint was completely destroyed. A lot of negatives on this truck. Kick down cable. So whoever replaced this transmission decided to break the detent kick down cable. Did not install all the bell housing bolts. Dipstick tube wasn't installed. There's a zip tie holding on the power steering reservoir. Cab corners are blown out. Those have already been replaced in their last phase of body work. I've seen a million people replace those. There's nothing to it. A few spot welds, some seam sealer. It's the first set I ever replaced, so there's nothing to it. And I'm sweating already. Y'all just kind of feel with the fan. I installed an air conditioner in the shop. 18,000 BTU. Is that 1.5 tons? Yeah, I installed one of the two 1.5 ton units that I have. The unit weighs 400 pounds. It was an absolute pain in the ass to get on that wall. The second one's not going on. We're getting a mini split. The shop itself isn't set up quite yet. We'll get there at some point, but right now there's a project in it. So we're going to do some work. We're going to do the fun work on this truck. I'm not going to go through the whole tear down and scrubbing everything. That's takes too long to deal with. We'll find some cool stuff to put some content out on. I might put some out on painting the frame. There's a million different ways to take care of these frames. I wasn't stripping it down this far originally, so sandblasting would have been better. But it's done. Waiting on the primer to come in so I can finish putting the paint on it. We'll go through all that maybe in the next video. We'll get some stuff painted up, show you a few different ways and a few different paints that you could use for different parts of the vehicle. Some are better than others, some are not. Some will work for a while. I like when I don't have to redo things, but I also hate spending money, so we'll go through some stuff. Anyway, let's see if I can find something cool to show y'all. Hold on. This right here, guys, is my 1971 Series 1 Datsun 240Z. This car is a driver. It is in driver status. It has its little tears in the interior. It's filthy dirty. The brake lights are plugged into a random fuse. You know, just whatever it takes to stay on the road. This was the project over the winter, which actually took me winter to spring to finish. She has the triple Weber, incorrect 45 millimeter triple carb setup on it, complete with its typical linkage binding issues for the 1970 model 240Zs. Blown out original 7 1/4 brake booster, so now she has those wonderful manual brakes, we'll call them, non-assisted. This car has all new brake lines, all new fuel lines, new fuel tank, new struts front and rear, new A-arms, all kinds of goodies underneath the car, except for the exhaust. We never bothered to change it. It sounds fine. Everything under here, brand new and or refurbished, front to rear, except for floor pans. That project never took off yet, so she's got a couple of holes in it, but like I said, driver status. As far as projects go, driver status is generally just fine. She has one of the world's worst paint jobs that I've ever seen on a vehicle. She is zebra striped from the front to the rear. It won't show up in this light, but it's bad. So she has her typical flaking, bubbling paint, all the typical areas. Couldn't care less. This car is an absolute riot to drive. My very first car was a 1971 240Z. I bought when I was 14 years old. Promptly had the keys taken away from me when I was 15 years old. And finally got this one out of Utah 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. It's been a while now. We got her. She had her issues. Might be able to find a couple old pictures of when the sway bar ripped out on me. And we had to redo all the gusseting on the front end in the typical 240Z areas. I don't know if it's going to show up on this camera. So all your factory gusseting is completely shot on the car. The bottom of the frame rails rusted out where the sway bar mounts to, ripped completely out at about 90 miles an hour in a curve. So that was interesting and fun. But anyway, that's the 240Z. Might do a couple videos on this one, just getting odds and ends buttoned up on it. But she's having fun with it. She's been a good car. Aside for whoever did the wiring in it, they need some help in life. So, hate to pull everything apart again and put her back up on jack stands. We've enjoyed her for about 2 or 3 years out of the 10 or so. Never had a place to work on her. Now we have the home garage, my little slice of paradise. So maybe we'll get some more stuff done on it. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, back in the garage. Just want to clear something up. I'm not really sure where the name came from for the channel. Other than we're, you know, in between two garages. The garage is attached to the house and my 1,600 square foot garage behind the house. And I'm not really sure why else, like where the rest of the name came from. It just came to. Let's talk about paint. Specifically, oh, almost lost you. Look, you don't have to run away. You can press the X if you don't like it. Let's talk about paint prep. Specifically, paint prep on, say, a metal frame or any suspension parts, anything like that. You don't paint over rust. You don't paint over grease. You don't paint over dirt. For the love of God, check the work of the help that you have, or you will end up with those spots and grease and all kinds of terrible things under your paint. So the front half I did. Wire brush, wire wheel on a grinder, wire brush on a drill. I don't care what you use. Use some kind of wire to get as much of this garbage off of the frame as you can. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take much effort, but you can get the frame relatively clean with that. You can go straight to primer. Wash it. Wash the frame first. Wash the part. Degreaser. Get the grease off. Get the oil off. Why? Paint costs too much money. Soap is cheap. Wash it. Now this one's already been washed. It will be washed again before the paint's applied because we're not quite done yet. We still have a couple of rough spots inside of that frame that we're going to take care of. So what we're going to do is we're going to take sandpaper and a sanding block, and we're going to knock down all the remaining ridges. You see that grease smearing right there? That needs soap. Degreaser. There's no wrong answer there. I personally like mixing Dawn with Purple Power, I think it is. Purple degreaser. Something like that. Once you have it clean, for the love of God, prime it. You have your regular run-of-the-mill black spray paints. It's got the word primer right there. Prime it. I'm waiting for my primer to come in, so this is demonstration or purposes only. Use primer. Nice light coat. We're going to do 2 on this frame section. Of course, all this is going to come back off, so I'm not really sure why I'm even bothering with this. But you can see what I just cleaned. All the streaks from the grease, and this is what was left for me from somebody else not properly cleaning for me. Anyway, this cheap paint will get you where you want to be for a while. You can step it up to something like this hammered paint. This hammered paint I like using on, well, hell, here. Those are the original coil springs for the truck. Cut 1/2 a coil off the bottom of both of them. Hopefully that gives me a 2-inch drop because I installed a 2-inch drop shackle on the rear of this truck. We'll see. We'll cut more if I absolutely need to. Anyway, the hammered paint works great for suspension parts, steering parts, those sorts of things. Actually, really like it for that. As far as the frame goes, I don't ever want to have to paint the frame again. There's really only one spray paint that I know of that's going to hold up the test of time, and it doesn't have to be this brand. Okay, no brand specific anything. Most things, not brand specific. But engine enamel, and if it says ceramic on it, even better. Engine enamel is gas and oil resistant. I worked in a machine shop from the time I was 14 years old to the time I was 18 years old, rebuilding engines. Well, tearing them down anyway, cleaning them, you know, the shop kid jobs. Did let me rebuild heads, so that was nice. But the rotating assemblies, apparently that was not in my cards. Anyway, where was that? So spray painted a lot of engine blocks, and if there's one thing you know about people who rebuild their engines or have their engines rebuilt, they tend to continue to have them rebuilt over the course of their lifetime. And I can tell you that engine paint, it's tough to get off of there. Very, very tough. So, engine paint for the frame. Okay? Trust me. It's going to last for quite a while. In fact, let the next guy who owns your truck, whether that be you sold it or your family sold it 50 years after you passed away, let that guy worry if that paint still looks fine. Anyway, remember, I did say that we cleaned this frame. It's very important to clean the frame. You're just going to continue to gum up pads every time you run into a little bit of grease mixed in with the dirt. All we're really trying to have left behind is that little bit of dirt that we can sand off and make this thing look really good before we paint it. By the way, I believe this is 240. Yeah, it's 240. It's aggressive enough. You can go more aggressive. You're going to leave marks in your frame. The primer that I use is a high build primer. It's going to fill in the little spots that I'm making with the sandpaper. It's going to be just fine. So like I said, the sandpaper comes in tomorrow. Maybe we'll pick up on this tomorrow. Not the sandpaper, listen to me. I need a beer. Leave me alone. The primer is coming in tomorrow. We'll pick up on this tomorrow, I suppose. Well, it'll be tomorrow for me. Might still be the same day for you, unless you've already clicked off. In that case, you don't even care if the primer's coming in. But while that's coming in, I have the majority of the bolts for the truck soaking in ATF, and the ones that have already been halfway cleaned are soaking in a solution of, I don't even know what that is. That might be Evaporust. Nope, it's not the Evaporust. It is Seafoam paint thinner. I believe fuel injection cleaner. God, the lighting in here is horrible for the phone. It's beautiful in real life. If you haven't installed LED lights in your shop, I don't know what to tell you about your life. When I moved in this place, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 16, 18 fluorescent lights in this place. Double fixtures, 8 foot long. And I think one fixture would work after it rained. The other 17 did not. These El Cheapos from Amazon. Boy, they are legit. Try to hide a couple of them. They're definitely legit. Maybe get yourself some. They're wonderful. Maybe I'll just post this one, because now that I'm thinking about it, I completely forgot to turn the phone sideways. So I've been filming in the wrong aspect ratio. So it's going to look terrible, but I don't care. To be completely honest, I'm only doing this because, well, this hobby costs money. And people don't pay money for vehicles. I don't care how nice you make them look. If your name's not Boyd Coddington, Chip Foose, Gas Monkey Garage. I don't even know who that guy is. Richard? Raphael? I don't know. Whatever his name is. The guy with the beard was cool. Aaron. No idea what his last name was either. Doesn't matter. So like I said, there is no website. No t-shirts for sale. Cook at home. Have your wife cook. Significant other. Mom. Somebody. Somebody will cook for you. If you don't know how to cook, Denny's will cook for you. I believe 24/7. I don't know. We haven't had a Denny's in 20 years, so good luck. Factor. That's the name of that. Don't. Stop. Do better.